Every airplane in pretty much in World War II had a name assigned to it, and they had what's called nose art. And
Okay.
so every base, bomber base, fighter base, had an artist, and they would paint the flight crew's choice of a name. Some of them named the captain's girlfriend or the captain's wife, and put that on
Hmm.
for the nose art. Eel Pub was just, it's a great name. Pubs are important to young military guys in a wartime zone, so they called it, the crew of 10 decided on the name Eel Pub.
So we're in the cockpit of a B-17. The Flying Fortress has a legendary story that goes with it, Ye Old Pub. And take us to that day in December. It was December 20th, 1943. Charlie Brown sitting where you're sitting, right? He was piloting the
Right.
aircraft. And he's got a crew of Americans, and they have a mission.
Yeah. So Charlie Brown and his crew, 10 of them together, which was the standard crew size of the B-17, were part of a large, about a 50 airplane formation that launched out of England, one of the Royal Air Force bases, and headed for deep into Germany for a strategic bombing site in Germany. And during the combat mission, Eel Pub, this airplane, Charlie Brown's crew, in the airplane were badly shot up. The airplane was not able to maintain formation and descended just to keep flying. They ultimately lost two engines. Half the crew was either killed or wounded. The two pilots and the bombardier navigator were still okay. And they were heading. Charlie Brown's decision was he had to get out over the North English Channel, and then get across the Channel to Britain. And they felt they could survive. As they're passing the coastline, approaching the coastline of northern Germany, right over the area of Brennen, Germany, they were at about 1,000 feet off the ground, barely maintaining flying airspeed and controllability in the airplane. They flew directly over a Luftwaffe base. On the ground was a young second lieutenant, Franz Stigler, who was refueling his Me-109 fighter. The young lieutenant looked up, saw this crippled B-17, and decided to give chase to the crippled B-17.
And this guy was an ace at that point
He
already.
was an ace already at that
Yeah.
point. So he launched and caught up with the B-17, which now is out over the English Channel, rolls in behind it, gets to within about 400 feet in trail, and is ready to fire his 50 caliber guns at the airplane and blow it out of the sky. And he gave pause, and in a moment of mercy decided, I cannot shoot this airplane down, that it's murder. And so he eventually pulled up on the left side of the airplane, made eye contact with Charlie Brown, Second Lieutenant Brown, sitting here, which had to be a shock to the captain of this airplane.
I mean,
when he
just the
sees an
situation,
Me-109 hit the enemy, pulling right up alongside of him. And then the young German ace saluted Charlie Brown and peeled away and let the airplane go. So the end of that story is the Eel Pub makes it across the North Atlantic. Charlie Brown successfully lands at the very first RAF base they come to, and crash landed the airplane, and the rest of the crew survived
What a
and
story.
went on to fly further missions
Yes.
in the war.
And one mission, one really big mission, was when Charlie Brown, years later, in his 80s, was able to meet Franz Sigler.
Franz Sigler eventually emigrated to Canada, ended up in Vancouver. Charlie Brown was in the Seattle area, so geographical proximity, they're close together. Somebody did a lot of background research and eventually brought these two pilots with this extraordinary encounter back in 1943, brought them together. And they met at a hotel in Seattle and became friends, and were friends until they both passed away.
The B-17 is here, the Flying Fortress, as part of a nationwide tour by the Liberty Foundation, and that tour is a salute to veterans.
It's a salute to veterans, to honor the history, the legacy, and remind America, as we cross on the tour across the United States, of the extraordinary commitment and dedication and sacrifice that was made by really 16 million warriors in World War II.
Bud Sittig, thank you so much. You're a pilot. And you've been watching Coffee Near Me. We're inside the cockpit of the B-17 Ye Olde Pub, coming to you from the Warren County Regional Airport. And keep the conversation going. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.